I don't think I've seen a wilder, more crazy game than I just saw right there for the Jets and between the Jets and the Giants. That was crazy. That was a total slopfest, folks. A complete and total slopfest. I think if you had to give a dissertation on how not to play professional football or football at any level for that matter, whether it be Pee Wee League, whether it be college, high school, junior varsity, it doesn't really matter. You would take this film and you would say, "This is how you don't play football." That was crazy. It was that kind of game. As the Jets find a way to escape with a 13-10 victory. I'll say this: if you are the Jets, you take every win you can get because this season has developed a pattern. And the pattern is the Jets find ways to win games even when they should lose. And this was a game where the Jets had a 99.6% chance of losing this game. And they found a way to snatch victory, total victory, out of the jaws of defeat against the New York Giants. I still can't wrap my head around how they were able to do this. Because it all starts right there at the end of the game, 24 seconds to go. And Brian Daboll has a choice. Let's just start there. He had a choice. Either run the football, which the Giants had done very well for pretty much the entire day, on a 4th and short and just end the game right there at 10-7, or kick the field goal and go up 6 and give the football back to the Jets, risk possibly a kick return for a touchdown or something like that. He decides to send Graham Gano out there to kick a field goal, and he misses a chip shot field goal. A chip shot field goal, he misses it, and that obviously gives the Jets life, and it gives the Jets a chance to redeem themselves from what was a disastrous performance from the offense, a bad performance from the quarterback, a game where really, in all facets, the Jets did not play well, except for the special teams. Defense played well, but there were a lot of dumb penalties that the Jet defense made in this game that was going to result in what would have been a gut-wrenching 10-7 loss. But that all got wiped away. Zach Wilson actually completes a couple of big passes, 29 yards to Garrett Wilson. They spiked the football quickly. Then 29 more yards to Alan Lazard, and this time, unlike the Denver game, they're able to get the snap off and stall the clock at 1 second for Greg Zuerlein to win the ball game, or tie the ball game rather, at 10, and that sets us into overtime, where the Jets again are huge beneficiaries of a huge pass interference penalty on Adoree Jackson. That sets the Jets up again at the 15-yard line of the Giants, and they kick the field goal. Don't waste any time. Don't put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands anymore. Kick the field goal and get out of there with a 13-10 win. It was, I still don't. It boggles my mind. It boggles the mind of everybody how they were able to do that. But it's been that kind of year for the Jets so far this year. The crazy win against Buffalo to start the year in a game where they lose Aaron Rodgers for potentially the season. Then you have the game against Philadelphia where they're pretty much down to the end. All Philadelphia needs to do is get a first down and the game is over, and then get the interception by Tony Adams that sets up the game-winning touchdown for the Jets, and now this game. Crazy games that keep happening for the Jets here at MetLife Stadium here in 2023. Now, this was not a clean game by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of things that you had to leave this game with a sour taste in the mouth. If you are a Jet fan, if you are a Giant fan, from the Jet fan standpoint, man, again, this offense was bad. Yes, and it's been played a little bit too much about the fact that Zach Wilson hasn't thrown picks in a certain amount of games, and he went through another game here where he didn't throw an interception. He still lost 2 fumbles, one of which was not really his fault, with the fact that the Jets were on their third center of this game after losing Schweitzer and Connor McGovern, both of them to injuries in this one. So they were down to a practice squad guy at center. So you have that was a problem. You had to move a different number of pieces around on the offensive line. But you saw a lot of the same mistakes that we've seen from Zach Wilson over the last few years, and even parts of this year, is the indecisiveness, the holding onto the ball too long, rolling into pressures and into sacks, That was a problem in this game. But you can really take a look at it two different ways. One, a lack of creativity from the offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett. There were a number of drives where the Jets had 3rd and 1, 3rd and short. And instead of running the football, they throw the football. Why? Try to run the football in those situations. They got schooled in a lot of ways by Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, who had a terrific game plan against the Jets to bottle up Breece Hall, shut down the Jets' running game. Breece Hall, outside of the big 50-yard touchdown catch that he had to start the football game, held to 17 yards rushing for the rest of the afternoon. They did a great job bottling him up, and I don't want to hear any more. And Rick and I talked about this in our preview. I don't want to hear any more about how Kayvon Thibodeau lacks intensity or isn't a great player for the Giants, because he had a game. 3 sacks of Zach Wilson. He was fantastic. He wrecked the game by himself. He was all over the field. He was a force to be reckoned with. And look, when he's going well, and that Giant defense, which has been going well for the last 7 weeks, good things can happen for the New York Giants. So you got to give some credit to the way the Giants schemed against the Jets, but you also got to really be critical of the way the Jets game planned and managed that football game. There's no way in a game where you have, I don't want to say torrential rain, but heavy rains for most of the day, and you have Zach Wilson dropping back 36 times, you have him dropping back more than 40 times in a game. That can't happen. You can't have that in that kind of game. You got to find a way to run the football. You got to find a different way to run the football, and this is a Jets team that we talk about their depth and talent offensively this year. Where's the variety here? You know, get Michael Carter more involved. Obviously, Dalvin Cook has been a major disappointment, as we all know. But get a little more variety going offensively. Create some more unique plays offensively to give your quarterback a chance, give your team a chance. And that's really my biggest criticism of what happened here with this Jet offense. They just weren't very creative and really ran themselves into some bad situations. They were, 2 for 15 overall on 3rd downs. That was unacceptable. Defensively, the Jet defense was very good. There was the Giants were handicapped offensively because of the quarterback situation. One, they're already without Daniel Jones. We don't know that. But Tyrod Taylor leaving the game in the first half with a rib injury, and they had to go to Tommy DeVito, who was not that good. The Giants didn't want him throwing the football at all. Only 7 passes, minus 1 yard. Can you imagine if the Jets had lost this game to a team in the Giants who only threw for minus 9 yards passing? That would have been awful. Awful. That's all we would have been talking about. How do you lose to a team that throws for minus 9 yards passing, and you were this close to losing that game? They were running a high school offense for the Giants. Tommy DeVito played at Don Bosco. That offense looked like Don Bosco, or looked like a high school offense. That's all they were doing. Wishbone offense, hand the ball off. And look, Saquon Barkley was incredible. What was it, 128 yards for Barkley. His longest was 34 yards. Ate the Jets' lunch. And the Jets were so focused on Barkley, that's what allowed Tommy DeVito to score that touchdown, which, oh, by the way, was helped out by the fact that the Jets had a couple of bad penalties, discipline penalties. When you have a chance to get off the field, you had 2 huge penalties on that drive. It was one, let me just pull this up here, a unnecessary roughness on Quincy Williams. That was a 15-yard penalty that gave the Giants the football at the Jets' 20. That hurt. The worst was the penalty on Jermaine Johnson, who came in late on a tackle when the Jets were off the field. Would have forced the Giants to kick a field goal. This is when the Jets were up 7-3, and that unnecessary roughness gives the Giants a new set of downs, and Tommy DeVito scores a touchdown that gave the Giants a 10-7 lead. So, lack of focus on discipline, poor strategy by the offense, poor quarterback play, the offensive line issues, and the injuries notwithstanding. It was a mess of a football game from the Jets standpoint, a mess of a football game from the Giants standpoint, as again they were without their quarterback. Their quarterback situation is a total mess right now. I don't know what the situation is going to be with Tyrod Taylor moving forward. The Giants are hopeful that Daniel Jones is back within the next couple of weeks, but they've got a lot of problems. Their season at 2-6, likely over for the Giants. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. But for the Jets, look, You don't want to apologize for getting wins in this league. It's hard to win games in the National Football League, and the Jets should not apologize because, you know what? They found a way. The Giants gave them an opportunity to win this game, and the Jets took it. And they took this game, and they win it by a score of 13-10. And in spite of the fact that they played poorly offensively, and in spite of the fact they were undisciplined at times on defense, and in spite of the fact that there was issues at quarterback and offensive coordinator going up against Wink Martindale's defense. In spite of all of that, the Jets found a way to get a win, and they're 4-3, and they're still very much in the thick of this playoff race in the AFC, and that's really all that matters. A 3-game winning streak. They get the Chargers coming in next week on a Monday night, then they go out to Las Vegas after that. Opportunity there for the Jets now to try to start knocking off some conference wins. And that's going to be the biggest wins of all, to get those conference victories moving forward if you want to have a shot to the playoffs. I will say this as a warning, though. The Jets have pulled out a lot of games out of their hat, as I just mentioned earlier. At least 3. At some point this year, the clock is going to strike midnight on those kind of games. At some point this year, the Jets have to find a way to get going earlier in these games. Get some momentum going on earlier in these games. Play with a lead for much longer stretches of these games, because this kind of last-second, last-minute heroics, pulling games right out of the frying pan, can't happen all the time. And we'll see if Aaron Rodgers does come back. We'll see. Again, he was throwing in the pregame warm-ups again. Looked pretty good. Hopefully, if that is true, and if he can make this miraculous comeback, that will be a welcome addition, obviously, for the Jets. But this is it's a win, but it's a warning shot, on my mind, why the Jets have to shore a lot of things up and have to play much better football, especially with tougher teams coming up down the stretch here as we move towards the second half of the season. So a win's a win, but it was an ugly one at that. Like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts below. Talk to you next time.